Welcome to Muse and Tech podcast. Hello and welcome to Muse in Tech. I'm your host Dalia, and I'm so grateful that you are listening to our today's episode. This podcast is a space where dreams meet action and where the real stories turn into real inspiration. Every week, we connect with incredible women who have chosen to step forward and embrace technology and build careers and lives they once only imagined. It's not always easy. I know it's not always perfect, but believe me, it's always possible. When you start, when you believe, and when you surround yourself with the right energy and people. And speaking about the right energy, today's guest brings not just that, brings something much more. Michela Federico is tech leader who blends innovation with intention. She's deeply passionate about transformation, developer productivity, and building sustainable ways of working in tech. With a background in front-end architecture and team coaching, developed at the continuous mindset, a powerful framework inspired by DevOps and cognitive science that helps drive fast flow and continuous growth for individuals and organizations alike. Today, she leads the customer experience website team at United Students, making technical decisions, improving how developers work, supporting onboarding and hiring, also mentoring engineers as they grow. Let me tell you, she is not building just a great product. She is creating the conditions where people can do their best work and grow along the way. Welcome to Muse in Tech. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, Dalia. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited as well of being part of giving this of being given this opportunity. I'm gonna be honest, this is my first podcast. I did have a previous online recording, but it was all by myself, so it's amazing to have someone to speak to.
It's amazing to have you, and I believe that we will have wonderful session and very valuable. So the first question I always like to ask that: what people usually don't know about you? Just give me spicy things.
Spicy things.
Not
I
too
guess
much spicy.
what people don't know about me. I think, well, from my personal life, I guess that people don't always know that I've married multiple times the same man. That's a funny thing about me. Yeah. My husband is actually Pakistani, so I live in a multicultural marriage, which it didn't have as many challenges as many people think, but it definitely helped me to develop a framework of, being proactive and reflective before trying to put myself on other people's shoes. And this kind of thing, I also like reflected it at work in the way I approach people and situation a lot.
I think your husband is proactive.
My husband is yeah, my husband is a force of nature. He's my inspiration for everything in life, really.
Not every man can marry the same lady multiple times, so it's kind of proactive skill set. Okay, let's talk about your career. How did your career journey start?
My career journey started when I was very young, really. So I think it started in mid school. We had some courses like outside of the normal curriculum as an extra activity to learn how to use the laptop, how to use the computer, not the laptops at the time, a bit of PowerPoint and Visual Basic, very 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 basic things quite a while back. Plus I'm from Italy, so Italy is always a little bit more backwards compared to England in terms of technology, especially when we talk about like 20 plus years ago. So from there, then I went to college to computer science specialization, and then I went to university again pursuing computer science. I first started computer science with like a specialization that was meant to be what I thought it was meant to be, like into gaming and animation, and instead it
Something
revealed to be
fun.
completely different. It was more like image and sounds elaboration, like in the hospitality in the hospital environment, like how to make software for hospitals and these kind of things. So Very
It didn't sound
interesting.
very nice, yeah, at that
It was
time.
very interesting, but at that time I didn't have that mindset. I was young, so I was more like, I've always had this like artistic vein in me. I come from, my dad was a musician, my sister is a musician. I also played a little bit, and plus, like, we were all cosplay, big into manga, anime, and all these world. So obviously, when put in front of like this very serious. It's like, no, that's not me. So I switched to like more of a classic computer science, more generic. And then I moved to UK in 2013. I got my first job as a full stack engineer, and I specialized in Google App Engine, doing a little bit of everything, like JavaScript on the front end and Python on the back end. I stayed in a company for about 5 years for various reasons. I'm not going to bore you about it unless you want to get more in depth later. But then I switched to a very fun opportunity that I came across, which was again in a gaming environment, actually. So
Finally.
yes, that I was really looking forward to it, looking for it. It just presented itself. So I switched, I took the opportunity, I became just front end developer, and I really loved it. I had an amazing team. I had a brilliant mentor in that company who really helped me to trust my instinct, believe in myself, believe in my skill. And part of what I am now is really thanks to him. I then moved forward to another company doing pretty much the same thing, always like it was another gaming studio, but I didn't stay there too long. The studio was like very new. It was literally, we were setting it up. And it was during COVID as well. There was some politics that I didn't quite agree, so I didn't. In like a year and a half I was there, I didn't grow as much as I wanted, so I decided to look for another opportunity. And after various interviews with a few people, I came across a super inspiring company, which was like a startup into using a bit of AI as well into language and translation. So I found it super fascinating. And I started my career there at Ambabo. And I did 3 years there remotely from UK, just visiting Portugal every quarter, which was a very good bonus. Amazing holiday in Lisbon. Well, no work holiday in a
Work.
sense in Lisbon.
It's totally just about work, you know.
Yes, working with a beautiful view, beautiful food, but still working.
With the salsa music and sangria on
Yes,
the table.
good times, good times. But like anything, anyway, we moved forward this year. I started a new gig at United Students here in UK. So it's based in Bristol, and now I started a bit more of a hybrid thing. So I go to the office a couple of days a week, most of the time from home anyway, because I'm a cat mama, and my cat gets he does crisis. He misses me a lot when I'm away for two. I still work from home quite a bit. And here at Unite is amazing. I'm growing a team. They are letting me put my hands in anything I want, basically, which has its pros and cons, because at some point you start struggling to say no to things, and you're just like, yes, yes.
Give me more.
Then you start feeling like burnout is approaching. You're like, okay, let's take a breath. Wait. But it's been intense and fun 5 months so far. So, yeah.
Okay, so I will pass the question about the tech industry because your whole story is telling that from study, when you're studying, when you start the job, it's kind of very methodically you move to the tech industry. I couldn't imagine to finish computer classes to start working in the event organizations, you know. Well, everything is perfectly, but the question is, what the key life moments or realizations help you get to where you are today. So you still can identify the roadmap and that realizations which you move from one place to another. So what is that?
I definitely had a couple of big moments in my life. I think one big moment was a bit of a crisis during my university time. I was actually working at the same time as doing university. I was doing a couple of gigs, like doing websites, fixing laptops, but the main job I had was in a restaurant, being a waitress. Believe it or not, helped me develop a lot of good skills actually. But yeah, so at that point, I was struggling keeping everything together because I was commuting to university as well. And I had to decide. My sister, in the meantime, started university as well. And I wasn't finishing. Like I was supposed to take 3 years to do a bachelor degree. And I was already in my getting into my fifth year, actually. So, there was a bit of,
Then,
yeah, I think like my family, I'm not coming from a super rich background. I wasn't a poor background, but, with two girls starting university, and there was definitely a big expense. So my parents were like, you got to take a decision. If you can't manage, then we need to get you into the work life.
yeah.
So it was either me, I had a proposition from the restaurant people I was working with. They wanted to hire me full time and become a partner there, or I would just try my luck and get to UK, where I had an uncle that he was super happy to sponsor me, to make me live with him in the meantime. So I just decided to, take a leap of faith, and I came to the UK. No job experience, because like not technical job experience. So I had a big crisis, I was like, it took me 8 months before finding the first job. And 8 months is a long time when you are not
Yeah.
paying any rent, like you're living on someone else's expense, and you feel like you're in debt. Your debt is growing more and more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, I was about to leave the idea. I was like, okay, maybe it's not my thing, maybe I'm just gonna start working in desk or something in a restaurant again and just get along with life.
I know that feeling.
I think everyone gets it at some point, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first crisis I had, and it was just like, I think faith a bit. Found this company that was really looking for a super junior engineer with no experience, because from their point of view, it was someone that they could train. It was like a white book. They could just write anything they wanted in it. So they trained me to have exactly the skills that they needed. So that was my first the first challenge that I got over, the first moment that turned all the cards upside down. I think that the second moment that turns everything upside down was after 4 years in this company. The culture was getting a bit toxic. The company was split into two different companies. There wasn't proper management in place. So again, first I wasn't growing as I should have, looking back. And second, I come from that mentality. Like the Italian mentality is, you get a job, you are grateful to have been given the opportunity, so you stay there no matter what, no matter how they treat you, no matter what they make you do, no matter what you feel. So I went on like this for 4 years. It was very tough. And then I got to a point where, I was like running in the toilet to cry, hiding to cry from the stress, having my manager just, shutting my laptop, saying, this is rubbish, and throwing it on the table. This kind of environment. So I laugh at it now, but, you're like, these are moments that make you grow. And at that time, I remember saying my now husband that I just wanted to drop out of IT. I mean, if someone that I really look up to, who was my manager, tells me that this is not good and that I'm not going anywhere, it means I'm not going anywhere. So there's a point where you just gotta accept it and move on. And it was my husband who told me, just try one different job, just one more. Because in that way, you have the confirmation. If you really don't like it and if you're really not good, then it's fine. But at least you give yourself the chance to see if maybe it was just the environment and somewhere else you can do better. So that's where I came across the gaming company and everything. And that was like a revelation for me. In there, they treated me like, my God, I think they overestimated my skill big times at the time. It was
No.
a lot of fun. It was amazing, and I really fell in love with coding and tech in that company, like for real. I didn't have a distinction between working or having a hobby. So yeah.
The short question, what does mean tech for you? Because it's really broad, but what is mean for you?
It's a very, very good question. I never stop thinking about this, because I think that for generations like me, like you, and modern generation, everything is tech. So we don't really, there's no really, it's a very blurred line. But if we look back, then it's a bit more obvious. Like, I think that's not manual.
know that from your story or the details you shared, I think for every human being, we have some moments. So, have you ever faced self doubts or especially imposter syndrome? I think in these days it's quite a hot topic.
I love it because it's one of those questions that I've been asked a lot in different panels. And I think, and every time I say the same thing, the real question is, when do you not? I think like imposter syndrome is that thing. Self doubt, it's a constant thing. And I think that the real question is how do we not let self-doubt control us, because it's always there. If it's not for work, it's going to be for life. If it's not for life, it's work. But I think every one of us always has self-doubt about anything. And in my career, in my life in general, I think that it took me a long time, but there was something that at some point that clicked in my head, and I was just like, this is not gonna go away. It's kind of like a condition. It's not a sickness, it's a condition. It's gonna be there forever. You gotta live with it. So you better try to find strategies to collaborate with it. And that's, I think, pretty much when I started developing the continuous mindset and using the imposter syndrome as that voice in your brain that can actually give you feedback. So
Mhm.
it's a trigger that makes you ask questions to yourself and help you to get on the right track, make you assess yourself, and makes you understand what are the areas that you can improve. So it's that question of, why am I feeling like this? What are the area where I feel self-conscious, where I don't feel super confident? What can I do to improve these areas? Why am I feeling in this way? So, there's a lot of, I think we just need to have a bit of compassion on ourselves, and instead of being scared of self-doubt, just use it
Yeah,
as an arm.
as the advantage.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I do not understand when people saying that they don't have that one. In each and every stage, you have it. You have to face self doubts, or you have to go through imposter syndrome. Of course, maybe you reduce the noise, but it's like, no, it's not for me. I think, yeah, this is for every human being. Listen.
I think that if you don't have it, you are doing something wrong. You're just either in the
Yeah,
wrong place, or you're not challenging yourself enough.
yeah,
I think that
probably.
imposter syndrome is actually healthy at some point in life. It helps you to become a bit humble and really force yourself to look inside.
Okay, so what helps you to keep moving through the difficult times usually?
Right. Yes, yes. So in my life, I had quite a few difficult times, especially in my personal life, actually. I think that my husband's support has been amazing. And I say my husband, I've been lucky because my husband is my best friend. But for someone else can be their family. But I think that, having that one person or a couple of people that you're very close to can really help you when you're feeling stuck, or just when you need a brain dump somewhere. So definitely that. But another thing has been a bit of like psychoanalysis, I would say.
Mhm.
Maybe because I'm Italian, or I don't know. I'm one of those people that I'm always reactive. So if there's a situation, I'm always the one that gets wound up. And my friends love that about me. They provoke me all the time just to see me wound up. But developing a strategy, that tries to make yourself, count to 10 and think. So every time that I feel stuck, or I have a bit of, I'm in a bad place, I feel burnout or imposter syndrome is taking over, I always try to stop myself and say, okay, like mentally stop, just cut everything, even take a day off from work or a week off from work, and let's try to do the point of the situation. And I start writing. Like I really like writing. So I literally just grab a piece of paper and I start writing where I am now, what I'm feeling, what is making me angry, what is making me feel stuck. And then I go deeper and deeper, and I start answering the question, okay, let's be proactive here. What are the things that I'm in control of, and what can I do about it? And the things that I'm not in control of, try to drop it. because if you're not in control of it, there's nothing you can do about it. So maybe shift your focus on something else. I think it's important to understand when you can't do nothing about something. It can be work, it can be personal life. For me, it was health. I have a condition which causes me some serious things, and I just need to understand it's not curable, it's just there. And sometimes, you can try, you can improve it, you can live with it, but there are consequences that are not in your hands and that can influence your life, like as a whole. It can take over your brain, and then what you think 24/7, it's the same thing over and over. And at work, you're a zombie. In life, you're a zombie. All you think about is that. And at some point, you become miserable. People around you become miserable because they can't help you.
Yeah.
I think that it's good to have a person you can count on, but ultimately, at the end, you are the person. You need to get into that mindset. You are the only person that can save yourself in a sense. So be kind to yourself and try to be proactive and admit when something is not in your hand, just you can do nothing about it. You just need to accept it and move forward. Maybe shift focus.
This is a really good thought. Sometimes, we forget some good thoughts, and actually, all genius things come from the simple things. Yeah. Okay. For women who just starting, what is the very first step you would recommend, according your opinion?
So for women that are just starting now, the market has changed a lot compared to like 10 or 20 years ago. So I would say at this point, women that are getting into tech, I'm having a lot of people that I mentor that get into tech, and the first thing they're looking to is learning to code. So my suggestion to you is tech is such a wide world. It's not just about coding. So maybe try to explore, challenge yourself in different areas. A lot of us think that tech is just, hard skills, lead code or challenges, and they ignore some soft skills that could really, really be helpful and usable in the tech industry. So I'm thinking someone good talking to clients, talking to people. Someone is good at doing planning and managing projects. All these are roles in the tech industry, and so maybe try to speak to people that are not just engineers. I think if you love engineering, if you love coding, I mean, more than welcome. There's definitely a lot of position on there.
How you can know that you love coding if you even didn't try it?
Look, I think like nowadays there's so many low code, no code. I think the thing is that nowadays with AI, with the whole AI revolution and everything, the work of the developer is also changing, right? So when we talk about engineering, we don't necessarily talk about coding because we have AI that's starting to code for us. I mean, that's a reality. So I think that we just need to reframe it into we don't love coding, we love building stuff. And that building stuff is building projects, building product. So we want to reframe ourselves and challenge ourselves around learning how to build a product. And learning how to build a product involves a lot of disciplines, not just coding, right? So really understanding what it takes to build a product, what are all the aspects. And when you do that, when you take it from this perspective, then you will challenge yourself to learn a bit of coding, to learn a bit of testing, to learn a bit of project management, a bit of cloud infrastructure, a lot of things. Especially if you're starting like a startup, then you need to also think
Everything.
about finance, think about getting the money from investors and everything. So
You have
yeah.
to do everything.
For the new generation, that is not a problem. I think that the problem is for the generation that are in the transition period, like we started, at least me, I started as a developer. And at the beginning, when I started in startups and they wanted me to do a bit of everything, I was like, well, but wait a minute, I can't know everything about everything. And then I understood at some point that I was actually focusing on the wrong thing. I shouldn't have focused on my coding skills. I should have focused on learning about the product as a whole, like what it takes, what are all the steps, everything, what makes a product, how to build it, how to take it from an idea to all the way to serving it to users. And that's a skill. And I think that for us, understanding that this is a transition period and that's where we're going, it's really important, especially as engineers, because the role of the engineer is changing a lot.
I would say that the most important skill which you have to have if you want to earn online is fast learning, or at least to want learn new things.
Activity, I think, is together with learning, is those two things that go hand in hand. Because a lot of people, I mentor a lot of people that are like, okay, but what should I want to learn? But where should I start? What do I learn?
Yeah.
So just the fact that they get into that call with a complete stranger to try to understand what path they need to take, that's already a start. That's them being proactive. But we have a lot of people that don't take the step. They are shy. They don't want to reach out. They don't know who to reach out to. They don't know how to join platform.
It's a lot of noise, I think. So
A lot of noise, yes. And also the fact that we are coming out from that image of the introvert engineer
yeah,
into a
we
whole
have it.
extrovert doing reels on Instagram or whatever, And it's like two big extremes. But I think that we are sort of like forgetting that out there's still a ton of those introvert engineers that we need to sort of like, inspire to come out of their shell to progress.
Okay, still we have sometimes stages, different positions, and the mindset always continuously has to change. So the question is, what mindset shift made the biggest difference in your growth?
It really is all about what I mentioned earlier, like making sure that you have that loop of feedback, implementation, and learning that go hand in hand and they continuously move. So the feedback, what I think that the big problem nowadays is that we are scared of feedback. We're scared of receiving any form of feedback because of that imposter syndrome that leads us to take feedback in a negative way straight away. If we get into that humble mindset where we are looking for the feedback because we think that the feedback is what is feeding our growth, then we get that feedback, and that's what is going to set the direction for our learning path. And once you learn, then you can implement something, which is the development aspect of everything, like in our life or in our work. And then again, you always have that constant monitoring through feedback. So the loop continues. And I think that it's like, it's that framework that, keeps you motivated, keeps you pushing forward. And when you are not motivated, it gives you that sort of like push. You're like, you can pause these at any time. It happened to me so many times. I'm like, okay, this is going amazing, but I'm burning out because there's a lot. Maybe feedback is too much at some point. So you're like, you don't know where to start looking, to start learning, or it just becomes
Still,
everything.
how is it? It's right words. You saying because usually it's not a very pleasurable thing to receive the negative, for example, feedback. Yeah. So because we want to that everything would be great and nice and shiny, and apparently just come. It's not that shiny how I thought.
No, no.
So yeah, the perspective to switch the perspective is that it's not about negativity and it's not about you, it's
No.
about the feedback and it's about the process. It's and you're supposed to feel a bit lighter then.
Yeah. That's the whole purpose of the continuous mindset. Is the purpose is to make you fail safely, in a sense, so you never fail. Because that failure is, I love this term. I'm gonna borrow it from a book I'm reading. Is a mistake. It's not a mistake as in you did something wrong. It's just a mistake. This take is gone. You tried something, it didn't work. You move forward. You go next. You learned something from any negative experience. There's always something to learn, and that learning, it feeds into your growth. So you're never really failing, you're never really doing a mistake. And that's the reframing your mindset to try to
Okay.
always be positive and move.
Now it's time to ask, tell me about the continuous mindset. What is that project doing? How you can present to us? Because I'm already here 2 times there, so I'm very curious.
Yeah, so the continuous mindset was born from me getting acquainted with DevOps. DevOps as a culture, not just as a implementation, technical implementation. I start seeing all these, loops, how to reduce the scope of something to make the loop more iterative so we can get feedback quicker, more often. So, it's about when you come from waterfall, in waterfall, you have all the different teams doing their bits of work in silos. Then with Agile, we remove those silos and we start working a little bit more together, close together. But the processes are still very long, the process of taking something to completion. So with DevOps, what we do is to break down work in smaller batches and then complete the cycle. So you get analysis, requirements, design, development, testing, building, releasing, all the steps that you would do for software delivery life cycle, but for a very small batch. And because it's a very small batch, it completes fairly quickly. So you have a bunch of people working together on something very small. It completes super quickly. So you move forward to the next, which goes super quickly, and so on and so forth. So you get a product with a very quick turnaround. So if you think in these terms of breaking down a big problem and try to analyze, build, learn, build continuously, that's sort of like you can abstract this and apply it to life. And that's the continuous mindset. And the reason why it's so easy to apply, to start working with this framework, it's because really that's like the natural way our brain works. If you think about when we are kids and we start, like as a newborn, we start learning to talk, we hear the sounds and we start trying and erroring, and that trial and error, we adjust it without realizing, and then suddenly we start speaking. Or when we start learning to play an instrument, we don't start playing a whole song, we start in small batches and we play, we error, we adjust. Like our brain automatically adjusts when we do a mistake, and that's how we refine our motor skills and we improve the way we learn. So the more we play, the better we get. And the same thing, so our brain, it's used to work in these, iterative ways. And so that's how the continuous mindset is really just an iterative approach. You gotta be proactive though. That's the whole point. No one is gonna do the work for you. So you need to be proactive and have that positive mindset and try to reframe the negative things into positives. When you reframe negative things into positives, you start feeling better about yourself. I think when we start having that moment where we can stop, listen to how we're feeling. And I remember reading somewhere that we should never identify with our feeling, but detach ourselves from our feeling. So like when we are angry, we're not angry, we are feeling angry. We are detaching the feeling of anger from who we are, from our identity. You don't want to change your identity because of a feeling. And if you do that, you still maintain your identity, which is your principles, how you move forward in life, what makes you decide what is good and what is wrong, And the feeling in that moment, it's something that happens. But if you detach it, then you can control it. You can decide what to do with that feeling. You can try to understand why you're feeling in that way. And then you can take this analysis and make a plan out of it,
Continuous mindset.
There you have it.
Okay, so what would be, I hear a lot of wonderful things which you created. So what would be advice for your younger self?
Cheesy, but cheesy things never get old.
I love it. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give you a cheesy answer as well.
Okay.
I guess be kind to yourself. I think accept your nature much sooner. That's like, I think the way growing up as a bit of an immigrant, because I'm from the south, going to the north, I have a bit of a weird background myself. So I think that during all my life, I always tried to find way to be accepted. So I never really understood who I really was, because there was not just me, Michela. There was the Michela from my parents, the Michela from my friends, the Michela from university or for work. I had a lot of different identities and I adapted myself a lot. And that's been, a big point of anger between my father and me as well. He always told me, you never behave like yourself. I'm like, but I don't know who I am, because I always try to adapt to make everyone happy, to make things work. And I think if if I accepted myself sooner, I would have saved so much time. You know, even just, for example, I gave you the example of my hair earlier when we were chatting before the recording. The time I spent straightening my hairs or choosing the right clothes or doing my makeup every morning to go to work, or even just in Italy, even just going to shopping, in Italy,
In
you don't go
Italy,
shopping with
everyone is
pajamas. Never. So all that time, it's not the matter of, because you can say, oh, yes, it's just a few minutes. It's not those few minutes, it's the mindset, because you're spending time thinking about it while you're doing it. After, you're always in that constant, is my hair okay, is my makeup fine, am I speaking right, is my accent okay? I force myself with my accent so much, trying to get the perfect English accent when I came to the UK. Then I married my husband. He has a super weird accent, so between him, the fact that I love Korean stuff and Japanese, so I'm always listening to TV in a language that it's not my language, my accent just got ruined. And at some point, I just gave up. I was just like, you know what? That's it. That's my accent.
it's
That's it.
enough.
I go out, it's raining, my hair get crazy. That's it. I'm in England. It's always raining. There's no point in straightening it. That's me. That's who
Listen,
I am.
it's two different cultures. As I remember, in Italy, everyone so always beautiful. I don't know, they always dress
There's a
nicely.
reason why I changed country.
In UK, I used to live in UK for 4 years. Yes, you can go with the pajama to the store.
There's a bit of an extreme, right? I would never have the courage of going to do shopping in a pajama.
Yeah, but it's contrast. It's totally different. But I do agree.
Never, I'm not saying to people, don't feel good about yourself. You have to feel good. But it's understanding what makes you feel good. I think
Yeah.
that's the important bit. Just accepting yourself for who you are. A lot of people go to work, they're scared of talking because they know that their grammar is not good, or they're shy for some reasons. And I'm just like, while you are focusing on your defects, I mentored some people. They were like, I keep the camera off when I'm on calls with work because I have some moles and I just don't feel comfortable. I feel like everyone is looking at my moles. I'm like, look, I have moles all over my face, While you are thinking about your moles, the other person is thinking about their moles or their other defect. So you're actually both not focusing on the topic of the moment because you're thinking about something that no one is really noticing.
Let's move to the end and where actually how you can help to people and where people can find and connect with you.
I'm definitely on LinkedIn always. I'm a bit of a LinkedIn holic. I'm always on LinkedIn, and then I'm on ADP list for mentoring, but even just for a coffee chat, I'm always open there. And then I think like my email is always public, so if people just want to drop me a message, I'm always happy to schedule a coffee chat or anything. I started something small, a little meetup online every month. It's called the CTRL. So I invite people to just tag along. It's a super chilled environment. I keep the group small purposely to try to create that cozy environment and talk about work and tech and just give it a rant, or even just compare your work experience with other people's work experience. I never put an agenda. I had two of them so far, and it pretty much, the conversation just flows. In the moment that you just present yourself and tell people what you do, there's always a hook and conversation to start going. So it's been great so far. I
It
like
sounds
that.
great.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. And then in June I'm in quite a few conferences, so you'll find me in London, I guess, if you're around.
Okay. So for the last sentence, if you could give one message to a woman who's starting in tech today, it doesn't matter which tech, or smart tech, or the basic tech,
Yeah.
or the simple tech, what message it would be?
Message is, don't make the fact that you're a woman define who you are. In tech or in life, you are a human being. Your skills have nothing to do with being a woman. The moment that you say I'm a woman, then I'm expecting something because of it, people will start acting weird. If you instead, you're like, I'm who I am, I'm bringing my work, these are my skills. People will not evaluate those skills based on the fact that you're a woman or not. I think that's my suggestion. It's a bit of a controversy, I know. Like I will have a lot of people saying, I'm not sure about this. It sounds a bit weird. And I totally agree with you. I'm more than happy to have a conversation about that. I know we're running out of time.
I can feel it that you're quite interesting in this one as well.
Yes. But yeah, I think that has been my experience, I have a lot of people saying, oh, but I'm a woman. People are not taking me seriously. I'm like, I think that you hide behind the fact that you're a woman. Just people don't take you seriously probably because you're not confident in the way you speak, or you speak with a very light voice, and men tend to be dismissive, and so there's this thing. But try to understand, don't take it personally as in I'm a woman. Again, get that feedback, even if it's not a direct feedback, but try to ask yourself the question, why they're not taking me seriously. Are they not hearing me? Are they not understanding what I'm saying? Should I dig deeper into a topic to get more, more proof, more requirements, more facts? Should I just present things in a written form? For
Yeah,
me, there
there's
was a lot of
different ways.
ways. Yeah, for me, at the beginning, I thought that a lot of conversation I was having was being dismissed because I'm a woman. And then I understood it's not because I'm a woman, but it's because I'm an introvert. So I struggle on prompting conversations. And once I understood that, I started dealing with things in a different way. So like I started recording my meeting or transcripting them or asking for a summary at the end of the meeting or taking more notes. And that gave me more time to reflect after and then go back to people with the actual answers instead of giving, uncertain answers when I was put on the spot. I would just say, you know what, I don't know now, but I'll get back to you in an hour.
I'm doing the same thing.
Right. So there's a lot of, we just need to ask ourselves the right questions, I guess. I quote another book that I haven't read it yet, but I read the presentation. I added it in my Goodreads. And there was this quote saying, women and men are like two wings of a bird. A bird can't fly without both wings,
Yeah.
And that's the reality of things. We just need to accept that. We need to understand that in the end, we are one bird. The animal is the same. We are one thing. We are a machine. We need to work together to work properly. Men by themselves can get it at the end, and women by themselves can get it at the end. The diversity is what makes things work.
I think diversity is the thing which makes everything work. So, we start from the gender and then we
And
can
we
end
get
till
all the way
the
down.
project, the huge project. This is the most beautiful thing, I think. I think the hardest one, but the most beautiful result we can get there.
But then again, if it was a simple one, it wouldn't be as good, right? I think that
Yeah,
there's a certain satisfaction in achieving hard things.
it is. It is. Okay, so our podcast is going to end, and it was truly wonderful to have you here with us today. For the rest of us, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, or even better, invite a friend who might need some inspiration. And don't forget follow to Muse in Tech for more real stories, practical tips, and encouragement. Here, we are here to support you in your tech journey. Keep believing, keep taking micro steps, keep building, keep shining your light, and until the next time, bye. Thanks for listening, beautiful souls. Don't forget to like, follow, and share, and visit us at musintech.com. Until next time.